Hi, everybody. Dr. Ariana here. I'm with Anderson Family Chiropractic and Naturopathic Care. I am a traditional naturopath, and we're going to talk a little bit today about managing stress and fatigue through the holidays. Give me a quick second. I'm going to share my screen here. So we're just going to, real quick, I'll move maybe make this a little bigger. You can see my head. Hi, everybody. So this video is for educational purposes only and is not intended as a substitute for individualized diagnosis and treatment by a qualified healthcare provider. Communications by Anderson Family Chiropractic and Naturopathic Care on our online platforms are not privileged communications, and it does not create a doctor-patient relationship. So today's all about learning a little bit more about ourselves and how to support ourselves through what is a wonderful time, all these holidays, but also sort of stressful. So managing stress and fatigue. So what are some of the challenges? So every day our bodies respond to challenges, right? Keeping our body system in balance is part of that. We're dealing with environmental challenges every day. So think about like how the weather has changed. Last week we actually had some pretty warm days, and then all of a sudden it was really cold and we had snow. And so every time we have an environmental change like that, it actually does put stress on our system, and our system has to sort of process through those stresses to maintain homeostasis, which is this balance in the body. And then especially this month, especially this year, mentally processing information, right? This has been the craziest year I've ever lived in. And so, and December just always has its own challenges with all the holidays. I mean, the holidays are wonderful, but they're also very hectic. And so how can we support our wellness and still enjoy all the beautiful things that come with the holiday? So environmental stressors. This is a real thing. So we have over 88,000 chemicals that have been created in the last 50 years, and fewer than 300 of them have actually been tested for their impact on human health. That's a big deal. So those things are in our environment. Think about that. Think about how many those are. One of the biggest things that I do in my practice is helping people with supporting their body's natural ability to get rid of chemicals and heavy metals, because they're literally everywhere. So, and this is one of the reasons, because we have all these synthetic chemicals that our bodies just don't even know what to do with, and they're everywhere. So there's actually been studies that have confirmed that the cord blood of newborns, on average, have 200 synthetic chemicals in them. So before human beings actually are birthed, before they have their first breath, we actually have way more stress than we have even a generation ago. And this is also fascinating. Indoor air pollution is one of the top 5 highest ranking environmental health problems in America. So, and that's, per, our own guidelines. So, and you might say, why is that? Well, if we look around our home, let's think about some things that might actually have chemicals in them. So our laundry detergent, the tumble dry sheets, those all have synthetic chemicals in them. What about like the things we wash our dishes with, like our automatic dishwasher soap that has chemicals? What about those little plug-ins that we put in to make our house smell so good? If you ever go out, it'd be very fascinating. If you ever go out to, there's a website called the Environmental Working Group at ewg.org, and they have a couple databases where you can put in commonly used cleaning supplies and also cosmetics and things like that. And they've done third-party analysis on the chemicals, and then put like a toxicity rating on them. It would blow your mind, some of the stuff that we have in our homes every day that we are either breathing in or putting on our skin, that are toxins, from carcinogens to endocrine disruptors, which an endocrine disruptor is something that causes inhibition of hormone function or just interferes with it. So those are just things that are in our natural, just our everyday environment all the time, that we breathe in, drink in, or put on our skin. So holiday stress, you know, the holidays seem to start early and earlier every year. And honestly, I think in this year, just because of what year, just the craziness of this year, I think everybody was like, you know, as soon as Christmas could come, we just wanted it here just so that we could enjoy the joy of the holiday. But it does every year. It just gets a little bit earlier, and holiday preparations are stressful. Decorations, shopping, cleaning, baking, traffic. I mean, just now this year probably a little different. Most people did a lot of their shopping online, but if you ever have to go out, traffic is atrocious in this month. The financial burdens of just gifts and things like that, time constraints, increased obligations because we have parties to go to, and staff, things for the holiday, um, and then also dietary changes. So this is a big challenge for people that I work with because they've changed a lot of their dietary practices to support health, so that the food that they're bringing in is supporting their wellness goals. But in this month, there's so many parties and so much eating out, so much more fast food because they're busy, that becomes a little bit more of a stressor where it normally wouldn't be. So let's think about seasonal changes. I kind of mentioned it before, but it really is a factor. So like when we went from a really warm few days to really cold, just in this last week, that puts stress on our bodies. So it's important to keep our immune system strong by feeding them the nutrients that they need. And interestingly enough, the same nutrients that are needed for your adrenal health, which is what manages your stress response, will also support normal, healthy immune response. And so before we talk about that, sorry, I know this is kind of like not showing the top of that, but so some of the snowballs of effective stress. So it is really easy for stressors to accumulate. So it's not just that we have stress, but it's accumulating stress and it's chronic. Oftentimes there's mood changes, energy up and down, ups and downs, and then a lot of times sleep then becomes disrupted. And a lot of times people are like, oh, I just got to get through the new year so I can make a clean start. And so oftentimes people can't enjoy the holiday just because of all the stress that's in it. This is an interesting study, just that over time, stress can wear you down. And so people have reported that stress impacts, 75% of people said it affects their overall health, 68% said it does impact their social life, 75% said it affects their family life, and 37% says it affects their work. So I think it's definitely worth our time and effort to build in some strategies to help manage this so that we can enjoy our holiday, enjoy our health, our social life, and our family during this period of time. So how are challenges handled? Those that your primary responder in your body is your adrenal glands, which are these little guys right here. They sit like right on top of your kidneys, and they're the thing that engages when your body is under stress, especially chronic stress over time, which accumulates. So this just shows you how a normal adrenal response should be. So you have a challenge. So there's a challenge, you meet that challenge, and then it's supposed to then return to homeostasis. So then we're like, okay, we're good. And then we have another challenge, and our body upregulates, and then it returns to homeostasis. It should be just this nice cycle where it's going up and down, up and down. But there's always a return to homeostasis where there's rest and your body can re-engage and start to cleanse itself. But unfortunately, oftentimes people are having constant challenge. So they don't ever have an opportunity to return to homeostasis or balance where their body can start to heal and recover. And it kind of feels like this. I think there's a lot of people out there that can relate. And that can lead to imbalances as our body struggles to recover. So some key points to discuss. Strong adrenals are key to proper stress management. And so these are some of the things that adrenals support. They support immune system response. They support healthy sugar metabolism. They may help to maintain mood and energy. They help with restful sleep and recovery. They promote normal digestion, and they help support an overall healthy body metabolic function. So they're pretty important. And so proper immune system response is important. And unfortunately, when there's chronic or excessive stress challenges, a healthy immune response, system response sometimes is inhibited. So let's talk a little bit about blood sugar. So normal blood sugar levels are in normal range. So the role of cortisol is to support normal blood sugar metabolism. And so too much cortisol can actually antagonize the proper function of insulin in the blood, which can result in sugar cravings. And then, of course, that leads to, higher blood sugar, more cortisol, more insulin, and then it's kind of a snowball effect. Also, restful sleep and recovery, cortisol actually follows a natural rhythm. It should be lowest at night, winding down for a good night's sleep. Unfortunately, a lot of times when I'm working with people, they'll say that it's really hard to shut their mind off before bed. And that causes a problem. It really helps them to not, their cortisol levels are too high at night. And it sets off other hormone receptors for us to not actually be able to get to sleep, to get sleepy and to get good sleep in the evening. It does promote normal digestion. A relaxed state is necessary for proper digestion. So, when you think about that, your parasympathetic nervous system, like you have two halves of your autonomic nervous system, which is the nervous system that does all the things in your body that you're not consciously aware of. There's two halves. One is called the sympathetic and one's called the parasympathetic. The sympathetic is kind of like your go, 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 get stuff done. That's like where the adrenals really are getting engaged. And then the parasympathetic is the rest, digest, detox system. So it engages to help us with those functions. So if we're just constantly sympathetic nervous system dominant, then those other things just don't happen well, which includes digestion. So we have to get into a relaxed state for digestion. Also, for a healthy metabolism, the adrenals, along with the thyroid, they support healthy metabolism. So if the adrenals are tapped out, it really does have a big impact on our overall metabolism. Excessive or chronic stress challenge are the biggest challenges to that. So adrenal response cues. So these are some of the things that might indicate that your adrenals need to be supported. You're more tired in the morning or late afternoon. Bright lights are very bothersome. You're sleepy after meals, you're more moody, loud noises can be irritating, and changes in sleep patterns. Okay, so the role of cholesterol. So this is actually kind of important because cholesterol has sort of gotten a bad rap over the years. It's actually really important. You actually need cholesterol to live. And so these are some of the things your body uses cholesterol for. So cholesterol and hormones. Cholesterol is actually the base component of all steroid and sex hormones. So if you don't have enough cholesterol, your body won't be able to actually make those hormones. They are actually manufactured in the liver, and cholesterol is in the liver and in the intestines. It's needed for brain tissue, nerve conductivity, and healing. It can elevate if infection is present. So sometimes if we have elevated cholesterol, it doesn't necessarily mean that we're just eating a bunch of fat. It oftentimes means that there's elevated inflammation. And so it's a response to that. So our goal shouldn't be just to decrease cholesterol in a synthetic sort of drug induced way. We should look for ways to decrease inflammation in the body so that it will naturally decrease. It is needed in the skin for vitamin D conversion. It's a component of bile, which we need for fat digestion, taken from the liver to cells on what are called LDLs, which was, I think, miscommunicated that LDL is like bad cholesterol and HDL is good cholesterol. Not true. Both are needed. Actually, they're just what you might consider like a cholesterol Uber service. The LDLs are what actually take the cholesterol from the liver to the cells. HDLs are what bring cholesterol waste back to the liver for elimination. So they're lipoproteins. One's low density lipoproteins and one is high density lipoproteins, and they just cart cholesterol around. Now, it is true that you should have there's an ideal ratio of the two, but it doesn't mean that one's bad and one is good. They're both necessary, but if you have them out of the normal, which is usually twice as much LDL to HDL, if it's out of the ideal ratio, it indicates that there is something out of balance. And so that's what we need to attend to, not just artificially using synthetic drugs, reducing one or the other. And interestingly enough, cholesterol is actually only found in animal tissues, can be synthesized from polyunsaturated fats such as flax, pumpkin, sesame, sunflower, grapeseed oils, or oil, but it really is only naturally found in animal tissues. And so some things to consider with cholesterol. You need to ensure that you have adequate dietary fats. And it's not just saturated fats. You need all the different, it needs to be a nice wide array of different fats because your body uses those fats for different things. Best sources as far as cholesterol is organic butter, organic free-range eggs, and free-range pastured fatty meats. Those things have adequate cholesterol, and you would want to have them in moderation, just like anything else. You don't want to have too much of anything, right? You need to support liver function for elimination of excess steroid hormones and cholesterol. So I had mentioned that those HDLs bring waste back, and your liver has to get rid of that. The things that support your liver are beets. I love beets. So if if you ever, I would rather support you getting beets that are not loaded with sugar, like a lot of times pickled beets are. But you can get ones that are marinated in balsamic vinegar, which are very good, or just naturally cooked beets. They're really good. Like carrots, cruciferous vegetables, those are things like broccoli, kale, Brussels sprouts, cabbage. They have compounds in them that help support liver detoxification. And so they're essential if we want our liver to be able to get rid of things in an efficient way. The dandelion greens are a great addition. They're very good for the liver and decongesting the liver. I know that in our area where we're at in Waterville, Ohio, at least I think they still do at our Kroger, they actually they used to have organic dandelion greens in their produce section. Now, it just depends. It depends on your area and if there's enough people eating it that they can, that they'll stock it, but you can always, request it. But you'll of course want to get organic dandelion greens. You don't want to get the kind that, you might have in a yard that's been treated with, pesticides and herbicides, right? Also, herbs that you can consider to support the liver are milk thistle, schizandra, and artichoke leaves. So this is an interesting slide, and I'm going to kind of go through. I know it looks a little complicated, but I'm going to explain it because I think it's really important to understand. So here you have cholesterol. Cholesterol in your body is converted into pregnenolone, and then it can also be converted from there into progesterone, which are just hormones. Now, these things are then converted into either 17-hydroxypregnenolone or 17-hydroxyprogesterone. These are all precursors to other very important either steroid or sex hormones. So the problem is that these are converted very easily into cortisol. They can also be converted into these other sex hormones. But let me ask you a question. You have a limited supply of these. And say, for instance, you are so stressed out every day, okay, because in your work environment, you have just a tyrant of a boss. And so every day you have chronic sustained stress. Like your body doesn't know the difference between you being attacked by a bear and you feeling like you're going to be attacked every day by some tyrannical, boss figure. Okay. So all it knows is this person is under significant stress. So if your body thinks that it needs to manage stress, fight or flight, what do you think it's going to use that limited supply of these precursor hormones to make? You think it's going to make cortisol to deal with stress, or do you think that it's going to make sex hormones for reproduction? Right. It's going to make cortisol because it thinks that you're being attacked by a bear. And so we're going to deal with that before we actually make these things. And so, a lot of times when this is happening, they call this the cortisol steal, that a lot of times people will have low libido and they'll not understand why. And it's really concerning, obviously. And this is the issue. It's chronic sustained stress. And so as you move through, like in people that are on programs and wellness programs with me, we're using foods and different herbs and nutrients to help support the adrenal glands so that they will be able to respond normally and not in this sort of chronic stress pattern, like right here, have more of a normal response, have more of a smooth regulation of that, so that then some of this limited supply of these precursors start being made into sex hormone. And then we see over time that the libido goes up, and which is always exciting and fun, right? So just saying, there are some real benefits to being strategic in decreasing your stress levels to a more normal and sustainable level. So adrenaline and cortisol response. So this is how, so adrenaline is the blue right here. So adrenaline is like, oh my gosh, bear is after me. And it goes up really fast. And so your body's able to respond quickly. You're going to have a bunch of glucose that's pulled into the blood for your muscles to respond quickly. That happens rapidly. And during this time, your body starts to upregulate cortisol like this. And then see, the adrenaline response will go down also quickly. And then it's this cortisol response that kind of sustains it until you get to a point where you're back to homeostasis. Everything's back to normal. But see, this is what happens when we have chronic stress, repeated prolonged chronic response of stress. It's like, okay, we have the adrenaline response, we have a cortisol response, and before that they can actually get back down to homeostasis, we have another response, adrenaline, and then cortisol. And you can see how just over time, it just goes up and up and up and up and up. It never actually gets down to actually that nice, calm, homeostasis point where you can have healing and recovery. And so that's part of the issue. So see, these are some of the effects of high and or low cortisol. So that part of the issue is that if you have high cortisol, sometimes it'll dump out eventually, and then you have low cortisol issues. I mean, just both of them are issues. One is a hyper functioning of the adrenal, and one is a hypo or low functioning of the adrenal gland. So some of the things for high cortisol is you start to see inhibited bone formation. You start to see long-term exposure will impair memory. It can elevate blood pressure. You can start to see insomnia, agitation, anxiety, and restlessness. You start to see elevated blood sugar and requiring more insulin. This damages the hippocampus, resulting in poor memory and ability to learn. There are things that you can do to help this as you heal. There's herbs that actually can help support that hippocampus as you heal, and other nutritional strategies that can help with this elevated blood sugar and essentially insulin resistance. Now, low cortisol, some of the symptoms of that, they have varying levels of fatigue, low blood sugar often, inflammation, insomnia, decreased immune function, low blood pressure, sweet salt cravings. Oftentimes they kind of alternate. Depression, more frequent urination, reduced libido, constipation, and then symptoms of thyroid dysfunction. Because the thyroid and the adrenals actually work together in tandem for a lot of things. So adrenal nutritional support. So these are just some of the things to avoid. Anything made with refined flour, honestly, just take it out of your diet. I know everybody loves, those things, and they taste really good, but they really are inflammatory. Anything that's refined wheat flour for sure, but most flours, refined flour is a problem. And the reason is that it breaks down very quickly into sugar in the bloodstream. And so it elevates blood sugar. Avoid dairy that is from the grocery store. So if you're going to have it, make sure that that's one of the things that you get organic, things that you that aren't going to have hormones, and things like antibiotics in them. So try to make better choices. There are places where you can get natural milk. We actually have them in our area, but you do have to own part of the herd to be able to do that. But in a lot of areas, you can get natural milk that hasn't been cooked, and the animals have not been hepped up on hormones and antibiotics. Avoid all soy proteins. especially men. Those have a lot of phytoestrogens, and most men do not need more estrogen in their body. They actually do mimic estrogen and can bind to receptor sites. So I would avoid soy entirely. The only exception is fermented or cultured soy because it's gone through a fermentation process that denatures those phytoestrogens. So those are some exceptions for people that want to have a vegan nutritional strategy. Avoid caffeine. That just is a big stick to your adrenal glands. Now, if your adrenal glands are working well, a cup of coffee a day shouldn't be a problem, but try to get organic. Coffee beans are one of the most heavily laden in pesticides of any crop. So, and also absolutely avoid refined sugar. Some alternatives are monk fruit, stevia, organic erythritol. Those things don't have any impact on blood sugar. Now, if you don't have an issue with blood sugar so much, you could also have a coconut sugar. It's really good. It has kind of a caramely sort of a flavor. And it's kind of, you can use it as a one-to-one substitute with refined sugar or honey or things like that. So those are some options. These are some of the nutrients required for strong adrenals, and this is also what's some of the things that are needed for a strong immune response. So there's a variety of B vitamins that are needed. Vitamin C, absolutely essential. Minerals, and then so specific gland support. I would also say that vitamin A and bioflavonoids, absolutely essential to cellular health for the immune system and also for the adrenal glands. So here are 5 simple steps to help you survive the holidays a little better, some practical things. Step 1 is manage your diet. So just have a plan going into holidays. You know that you're going to have some ornery eating. We just know this. Let's just know this going in. So plan meals out for the upcoming week. Limit sugar indulgence to just once a week. Limit sugary coffee drinks and or alcohol to just, once a week. Avoid eating on the run. Because remember how I said you had to be relaxed to be able to digest well? Try not to eat like in your car, like while you're driving and kind of stressed. So try to be strategic in that when you eat, stop and relax and so that your body can digest it properly. Start each day with a good breakfast. If you're hungry, and if you're not hungry when you first wake up, have a breakfast that has a healthy protein, a healthy fat, and a vegetable, preferably, that you can eat once your body starts to have natural hunger. Keep healthy snacks available to avoid poor food choices. So have like a trail mix made of like pumpkin seeds and almonds and other types of nuts that you might enjoy available so that you can eat those when and if you have some type of a blood sugar drop, so that you don't go and get a Snickers, right? So that's just how you might be strategic around that. Honestly, that's a big thing. That's where a lot of times people kind of fall off the wagon, is because of those when they start to have a blood sugar dip and they don't have anything available that's healthy. Drink a lot of water. So the rule of thumb is half your weight in ounces. If you can't hit that, just start with what you can do. Get yourself a really cool thermos and just set a goal. So, maybe it's that I want to get 2 of these thermos full of water, purified water, every day. And then you can move up to 3 or whatnot, depending on what your goal is. Now, this can actually be very helpful. Drink a cup of hot purified water with fresh lemon every morning. Sometimes people will put a little pinch of Himalayan sea salt in there for electrolytes. This is really helpful for the kidneys. It helps to flush them. And then, of course, a little bit of, there's enzymes in the fresh lemon that help support the kidneys. And then the sea salt has some electrolytes. Step 2, stress management. So have a plan around it. Take time to relax. Schedule it in. You will be more effective at all the things you need to get done if you have relaxation. So you can kind of like recharge your batteries. Do something you enjoy at least once a week. So if you're definitely one of the people in the house that's getting stuff done, make sure that at least once a week you get to do something that you really enjoy to fill your tank. Say no when you need to and stick to it. It's not your job to save the world. So you got to lean in, have the Lord to kind of indicate the things that you specifically need to do, and then say no to the other things. Because guess what? God can provide somebody to do those other things if he didn't make you to do them, right? And also, by the way, think about it this way. If you take on a task that really you shouldn't, like that task not for you, you're taking that a joy away from someone else who's uniquely gifted to do that. Because we actually do get joy from giving and doing for others. Shop one night during the week to avoid excessive weekend shopping. So pick a night that is typically not crazy to go out, or you can do online shopping, which most people are already doing. Plan your week to avoid feeling rushed. So sometimes a lot of times people will do meal planning and snack planning ahead of time so that they don't have to think about that. They just have it done. And you can't change the behavior of poor drivers by getting angry, so just breathe. Honestly, that's something that I've taught myself. When people get crazy on the road, I just slow down and let them go. I'm just not going to let them steal my joy, right? And I would recommend you do the same. Step 3, rest. It's important to stick to your sleep schedule. You need rest, or you're not going to be able to heal and recover so that you can do all the things you want to do. Take time to wind down before bed. That means really try to get away from the screen, like your tablet or your phone, because there's a lot of light coming off of that, and that going in through the eye makes your pineal, which is a gland in behind those eyes, think that it's daylight, and so it doesn't make melatonin as it should sometimes, and so then we don't get tired. One thing you can do too, if you read books or like on a tablet, try having a black background with white words, and then keep it very dim. So there are, and I know that there's like other things that you can do to try to minimize that light exposure, but really we don't want to have that much light coming into the eye that late at night, because it does make it tricks your mind into thinking that it's the middle of the day. So if you have trouble sleeping, try hot tea before bed. And there's a lot of variety of different teas out there that you can use to help, like sleepy time tea or whatnot. Try to get the organic kind though, because a lot of times herbs have a lot of pesticides and heavy metals if they're coming from an area that has heavy metals in the soil. Try listening to relaxing music. I love this. I have whole tones that can be really relaxing, and also classical music for me. But for you, it might be something different, like listening to the waves or anything like that. Read and unwind. So maybe try like a paper book. I know, right? Maybe go get yourself one of those old-fashioned books that doesn't have light coming out of it. So anyway, those are just some ideas, but really it's just whatever helps you feel relaxed and restful. Step 4 is exercise. And I tell you, this is actually something that's very challenging for me. So I get it, but it is important to try to have some sort of 15 to 30 minute a day form of exercise where your body is moving, like it's because that's actually the way that we get our lymphatic system, which is how it's like kind of a waste elimination system. That's how we get that moving. It doesn't have a pump like our circulatory system. The way you get that moving is through actual movement. Plus, it helps to increase cardiovascular function. It's going to help increase your metabolism. It's going to help give you more energy. I know that when people do this first thing in the morning, it actually will give you a boost in your metabolism and your energy throughout the day. I know that's hard to do, but it really actually does work. People will have more energy in the day if they get up and they have this exercise first thing in the morning. Step 5, time management. So get extra help. What's wrong with asking for help, right? That's something that I've done. I've had to discipline myself to do, is ask my family to be a part of all the tasks. I used to just think I had to do all those things, and that was not true. And and so I brought them into the process. They're invested and they enjoy being a part of our family, in the management of our family. So ask for help. Delegate tasks that others can do for you, such as like your children. You could also hire someone to clean your house. Maybe you don't do it all the time. You just do it in December. What's wrong with that? and maybe, however much it is, $100 or whatever, maybe that's worth your sanity. So look into it to see how much that might be, with a reputable company. I actually have one that I know that uses all organic supplies. So if you are interested in that, please let me know. I can certainly send you their reference. And let's see, I'm imagine you could get a hold of us through our Facebook page, Anderson Family Chiropractic and Naturopathic Care, or you could call us at 419-878-8312, or you can email us at AF as in family, C as in chiropractic, so AFC Wellness, that's all one word, at hotmail.com. And create to-do lists to make tasks feel more manageable. Honestly, for me, that's a big deal because I just like being able to check things off. So make some lists for yourself, and it will actually make it feel like you're getting stuff done as you can check them off. So I just want to thank everyone for coming out and watching this, for investing in your health. I'm so proud of our wellness warriors at Anderson Family Chiropractic and Naturopathic Care. So you're going to have a great holiday. Merry Christmas, and I hope that you have a wonderful and happy New Year. Bye, guys.